This is a quick class on communicating with Google and GradeBook. And we're going to be looking at ways to use private comments in Google Classroom and comments in maybe a document or a presentation file, as well as in your GradeBook, how you can use daily comments and assignment comments. So regarding remote learning in the spring, surveys back from parents have reported that communication was one of the weakest areas, and we want to certainly provide you with tools that'll help you do a better job communicating. So let's get started. I am looking here at a Progress Book demo account, and as this teacher is going to click into a class, we'll see a list of students, and to the right of their names is a little piece of paper. Now that piece of paper signifies a daily comment. And so when we get in there, we'll see with one student, I have entered in a daily comment. Looking at our student named Prescott, to the right of the name is a piece of paper, and his icon is a little different than the others. There are lines on it. So this is a feature in your gradebook to create daily comments. Hovering over it will let it pop up so you can glance at those quickly. And if you click on that piece of paper, it'll pop up and let you actually do your typing. If you want the students and parents to see this, that's the whole point of communicating, right? You're going to check the box to make sure you publish that to the web. And what's convenient about this pop-up box, you can jump to different students very easily. Always make sure you check that box if you want them to watch it, to see it in the parent access. So this is a daily comment, and you can not only jump from student to student, you can also jump around on the calendar in case you're trying to catch up on comments. Now, where would a student and their parents or guardians see this? Once you're in a class, your main area for the center of your screen, and classroom and administration, that displays a link here, View Parent Access Website. So that pops up in another little window there, and you're able to go ahead and view things as the students and the parents would view them. Now, they would land on the home page. So if you click on that home in the left, here we see our first student in the class. So we have access to the entire class. Now, Whitney did not have a comment. It was Prescott. So when I click on Prescott's name, this is what it would look like for the parents and the students. That today, or daily comment, is going to be at the top. It would indicate what class it came from and the text. So we know parents aren't going to be in here on a daily basis. So how on earth are they going to be able to check and see if there are other comments? Well, one way to do that would be go to their grades. And when you click on grades, it lets you expand a class. And I can even click on the entire title of the class to see the details, all the different assignments. If I scroll down, here is where the daily comments will appear. And so we have a lot of comments that potentially a parent could overlook if they aren't in their daily, but now we know how to direct them and get them there to see those. So it is a tool to communicate using a daily comment. Just use it with a grain of salt, knowing parents might not see it right away, and you need to guide them so they know how to find those. Now, a second style of comments would be on assignments, and these are probably the type of comments teachers are most familiar with. So I'm going to visit an assignment here where multiple comments have already been added. So short story notes 4. When this loads, I'll see this is a single assignment view. This is the Marks tab, and I see the comments column. And so a comment was reused multiple times for 3 students. And some teachers who aren't used to using this field might not know how they can copy and reuse a comment. So let me go ahead and show you how that's done. So great job for Whitney. And she had 30 points. She had 27 out of the 30. And I want to go ahead and move down to the next box. Now you would think normally I would right click, right? Unfortunately, that toggles the other options you can use. So I'm going to have to select this, whichever way I like to do a selection, so I can click my mouse or my trackpad and slide across to select it all. Or if you're familiar, you can do a triple tap, click, 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 and it'll grab all the text in a paragraph or a sentence until the enter or return key has been pressed. So I have grabbed all that text, and now I can use my keyboard shortcuts like Control C or Command C, depending if I'm a Mac or PC. So who else did a good job? Well, great. Richards, owner did great. So I can just paste that one in, and I'm going to change Bose. So you see we have autosave now, and you can do assignment comments on the gradebook grid, on an individual assignment like this, on the standards grid. And I'll show you here, when I go to the grid, you'll be able to see the ability to display. Right there they are. We can hover over those assignment comments. So how does a parent and a student see those? Well, I'm going back to parent access, and I'll just reset this so it would look the same. We're at the home. They would go to their grades. They would enter into that class. So I'd click the actual class title because that lets me see all the details. And here's each and every assignment. So when I came back in here, I'm still looking at Prescott. That's my student. And so keep up the good work, seeing great improvements. And so we have all type of assignment comments, ways to communicate with our parents and our students. So that's it for our progress book side of comments. So now we're going to be taking a look here at Google. We have some options here, and one of those is to use Google Classroom. And it's important that you think about your notifications. So Google Classroom has, let me bring over a new screen for you guys. Google Classroom has settings where if you are at the dashboard or in one of your classes, you have a little hamburger menu at the top left. And when you click there, you're going to go all the way down the list. Depending on how many classes you have, it may be shorter, and look for settings. Now, these are the same instructions whether it's a teacher or a student. So you're going to want to let your student know, hey, I'm going to be using private messages. Make sure your notifications are turned on. And what it does, it lets you look at your profile. You could always change your picture here. We need to have at least the main email toggled on. Otherwise, you'll get none of these down below. So we have comments on your posts or ones that are mentioning you. And right here, private comments on work. This is the one we want to make sure this is turned on. So blue means it's on. And other things in here, whether you're enrolled in them, maybe your administrators using Google Classroom or your team, those are settings you can dial, make them what you want. But for classes you teach, do you like knowing that you get late submissions or resubmissions? And it's a great idea to have invitations. This is not something that's going to bury your inbox. Invitations if a co-teacher is trying to invite you. So you don't want to miss those type of notices. So with those turned on, private comments on work. what would my Gmail look like if I went in and saw if I had any comments from a student? So I sure do. Here we go. So I see I have a private comment from Simon. That's a student in my practice class here. And it says, I'll just get a Gmail message and you'll actually get to read it right there and then. So by having private comment notifications turned on, you are going to get a Gmail message. Now, I take advantage of the Google Classroom mobile app. I have it on my phone, I have it on my iPad, and the mobile app, that will also pop up notifications. Now know, anytime you install a mobile app, you could turn off device notifications. So make sure when you're installing the Google Classroom mobile app that you leave notifications on for the app itself. So this is an example. Most teacher would go to Gmail. If you're not a Gmail district and you're still using Outlook, I encourage you to either forward mail from Gmail to Outlook, or you just need to maybe get in more of a habit of checking your Gmail for these type of notices. Again, that's why I like having the mobile app. The mobile app then will notify me, and then I go into my Google Classroom. So that's what it looks like here for the teacher. And if I get this out of my way and go to the student, and I'll need to find my student window here quickly. Okay. So here I'm looking at my student named Simon. And Simon is at the Google Classroom dashboard. And I would do the same thing, click on that hamburger menu, go down to settings. And so Simon needs to have email turned on. And for classes he's enrolled in, he wants to make sure that he would see private comments on work and any other additional items here too. So they can basically leave that alone, but if they have been in here and turned things off, know that they may not get your private comments if they've disabled. So the student can go into remote learning, which is the sample class for this recording, and see the classwork. So also I wanted to point out that students, this is probably the typical student Gmail inbox. So if a student does not have the mobile app installed on their smartphone, if they don't have a smartphone, all your private messages are going to land here. You'll have to check and make sure that your Google administrator has Gmail turned on in the first place. So if we're talking some of those younger grades, they might not even have access to their Gmail. So check those things prior to going wild with private comments. Make sure you have access. So I'm gonna just pop in. We see a few of these links here where communication like a private message has come through. So students get the message, they could see your text and a convenient little reply button. So let me show you quickly though what this would look like on the mobile device if we had a few notifications pop up. So here we are looking at a mobile device. So I'm just going to swipe down here to show you that we had some notifications pop in. There they are. So those are the things that pop up for students that they would see, and then they can expand and read, and that's how your private comments or assignment posts or announcements all can show up for students. So that's just a glance of what this looks like because of the mobile app. There are a few other ways to communicate, and we'll get into a particular private comment soon, But I wanted to show you when you go into your Google Classroom, you have the People tab, and you have possibly, your Google admin would have to have this enabled, but possibly have email, the ability to tie guardians. So you would need to have a parent's email account. You possibly could get that right out of ProgressBook on the student profile page. Now keep that in mind, they use that account to sign up for parent access. You want to be sure you check with those parents that that is really a live mailbox. Some of them might have said, hey, I just need an account. I gotta use parent access. And they may not really be monitoring that mailbox. So check with them first. Once you know you have a solid account, it could be anything, Armstrong, Spectrum, AOL, if that's still around, Yahoo, it could be a Google account. So if it's their email, you can invite them. And so here you see with my student named Simon, I've already invited, let me head back there, this parent. Now, once they're invited, then you have these abilities to email student or guardian. And again, the student email, you want to check and make sure that's on. But here's where you would typically click invite guardian. You would type in their email and then hit invite. Now I've already done that process. So for the teacher, they can sit back and relax, but the cycle or the process has not finished. You are still waiting on the parent to take action. So that's not 100% guarantee that your emails or your additional information is getting communicated to them. So we have to check with the parent, and I'm going in here to the parent side of this. So this is what the email looks like when you do the invite as a teacher. And then it says the teacher's invited you, and you could decide what you can get. You're going to get weekly summaries, and you just hit accept. Now, if you have a Google account, then you can do a little bit more on the settings. So I'm going to click on accept, and I am confirming. And with this particular account, I have 2 students. One was already added. And because this is a Google account, I have farther controls. I can decide, do I want daily, weekly, or look at this. Parents can actually deny and say, you know what, I don't want any of that, despite the teacher trying and inviting. So we can adjust how often, only if that parent has a Google account, their own Gmail. If it's the other accounts, they're just going to get what they get once they hit accept. So also in that message, there's a little learn more. So you can find out about who sees what. I'm a student, this is what you get. I'm a teacher, and from the guardian or parent side, this is what they'll see. So if you want to find out more, check out the classroom help, and you can search up guardian emails, guardian messages in Google Classroom to get to this page. So that's a little taste of communicating more, but we're just using the Google Classroom and what those summaries would look like. Let me go into my mail here, and we see, all right, daily summary for Simon. So for July 7th, we can see his assignments, and we can now be better informed of what's happening in Google Classroom. Another option for the teacher is to be able to go into Google Classroom and click on a student. So let me get back to the teacher's screen here. So the teacher is in Google Classroom looking at the People tab. So on People, I see my student list. This was the same place I came to invite a guardian. And if I wanted, I can just click on a student's name. Now this is an entire summary of activities for one student at a time. So think of it like a progress report. And if you wanted, you can hit the little envelope up here at the top right. So I happen to have a parent who has accepted that particular invitation. So the cycle, the circle, the whole process has been completed. And now I can decide, oh, it's going to be conferences soon, or I'm watching the student and I'm feeling like they're slipping. I want to communicate and show what's missing, or show the parent, hey, this is what their big picture overall looks like. So I can just choose to send it to one of them or both of them, and then I have a message. So I don't have to go out to Gmail. I don't have to copy down the missing assignments. That'll all be included right here. Okay, and then look at that, a checkbox. Include the student work summary, and I just hit send. All right, so now that student and that parent will get a special email. So I've just popped into Simon's Gmail account, and here we see that Simon, it has a progress report, just came from the teacher, and here's what I typed. Here is a summary of your work and all of the items. So it looks the same whether it's the student or the guardian. But that is how you can communicate with a full summary. So I was in a teacher's screen here in Google Classroom and just sent off that summary by clicking on a student's name. So I want to leave that one student, and I could be in my classwork page to do private comments. So a private comment such as, let's look at one quickly. If I want to make a new one, the teacher can click on the title, and then I could view my assignment. And this is the template waiting for the student to work on. It's been assigned and he hasn't responded yet. And if I just thought of something, or if a few days have gone by and I'm concerned, I don't know if they're engaged, I can click on a student's name, and at the bottom is this feature to add private comment. And then I can hit the arrow to post it. So now this student has a private comment. So because my mobile app, my Google Classroom app is signed in, I'm already getting those notifications. So that came out right away. So here I am back in Simon's account. Let's get back to inbox, and he sees up, a private comment was just sent. Have you started working? I can reply, take Simon right to that particular assignment. And private comments for a student look like this on the side, and depends also if they're in the mobile app for Google Classroom, it's going to appear across the bottom of the assignment title. So all right. So the student's not using the teacher's template because the teacher was concerned. They looked at the template, it still looked blank. And so these private comments are a way for you to kind of check on students. They could give you a daily private comment to kind of do check-ins. So now the student wants to actually do this work, turn it in, and then the teacher can do some more communicating through comments. So I'm going to turn something in. You don't need to create, but it's in my Google Drive, at least Simon's Google Drive. Here he had JFK was his historic figure. He made a fake profile for Facebook, and he's going to turn it in. And the template he didn't use, that's going to show up. That's okay. I see that he turned in 2 files. One has the work, one was just my or the teacher's generic template. Now teachers, depending if you have your notifications turned on and it's a resubmission, you'll get notifications. But Google took away typical submissions because that was just burying people's inboxes. So Simon covered himself and he said, I just turned it in through a private comment. So let's see how this looks. That is the parent and this is the teacher. So I'm back at the teacher screen and look at that. These are instantaneous. Think of them as instant messages. So 3 private comments have popped up. And as a teacher, if I go into my Gmail and look at that, because these are part of a conversation. You know, he wrote, "I'm not using your template." And I got a message for that. So that is another way. That's a private comment. That's not part of the assignment, but keep in mind if students are not checking their email or if they don't have the Google Classroom mobile app, they will not see these. You could make all this effort to communicate and they would miss it. So here's a thought. You could even suggest to your parents to sign in on their own mobile devices as their child, and so they will get those notifications. They're signed in, they likely can get from the teacher or from their own child their account information to sign in, and now the parent gets direct notifications when you have returned work, when you have posted comments, and then the parents are also in the know. So go ahead and give Simon a decent score. He did a good job. And then I return my work like I normally do in classroom. I'd like to talk about one last area where you can do comments. I mean, there certainly are more, but this is my last one for this class. I'm clicking on the student's file that they submitted in for this assignment. And looking at that one, whoops, I picked the wrong one. Let me get what Simon actually turned in. Well, that's a blank one too. Maybe he grabbed the wrong one. Interesting. Well, I thought third time was a charm. My apologies. It's over here on the right. It's still visiting the first file despite me clicking on the second file. So look at that. I just learned something new. Now, this already has some comments in it. And if you're finding that really hard to view, I'm going to hit this box on the Google Classroom grading screen so I can pop this out in a new tab. I want to just see the Google Slides presentation for what it is. And a teacher can go ahead and do comments on the side of an actual document, whether it's Docs or Google Slides. And if I click here, I see that this teacher selected an area. That's all they did. They came up, selected something, and then came to the top and hit this little comment bubble. You can click plus to add a comment, and then I can hit comment. Here's the bad news about that, folks. No one's going to know it's there unless you somehow send a private comment, an email, or you're in class physically with students and give them a chance to click back into their work. There is no notification for this whatsoever. So here's a tip for you. If you're ever going to do file comments beside a document, a spreadsheet, a presentation, then you need to do what we see here. Add the plus symbol, and then the student starts typing their name. So let me go ahead and try that. So if I put a plus and I start typing Simon, it's going to find anywhere in our Google directory that name. And so here's Simon's name, and that will pull in his full Google account. What this does now, it will turn this into a direct message in his email. So this feedback he will get. And you see that right there. It says your plus mention will add people to this discussion and send an email. So I don't want all your efforts of giving students lengthy feedback here on the side of documents unless it's going to get noticed, or you have a strategy for directing that student back to the assignment they've finished. But there's a lot of kids, they say, oh, I got my grade, I'm done. I'm not going to go back and read feedback. So this is a way to draw their attention back to the assignment and actually read what you've posted. So let's see if we still have Simon's mail popped up, and I can get rid of this one. And so here was Simon, and if he goes back to his mail, here it is. So let's refresh, make sure we have the last few messages from comments. This was graded, it was returned. I see the grade, got it, but I am not seeing that message yet. That's regarding our actual comment right here on the side. But plus Simon at GEPS, yep, that looks like the right one. He did get one when I recorded this 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So let me check the mail just to show you, since that one seems to be delayed. So here is one where it says the teacher has mentioned you, and this was the first one I had created. So it references the actual file. That was his assignment. And then it's showing them the whole comment. So that's great. They're not going to miss the other comments because I at least had one in here. And look at, you know, another one that I put in. So this is what a direct connection by putting a comment in with the plus followed by their email account, their Google account, would look like for the student. So this completes all of the ways that you can use private comments and use Google Classroom to communicate with parents, as well as daily comments and assignment comments in Progress Book's Gradebook. I hope you found this beneficial and can use some of these to help communicate with your parents and your students this school year.